Nearly 3 years ago, Donald Trump came to office, and he promised peace and prosperity for America. And this he has delivered. Now, even with the heavy anvil of the Mueller investigation tied around his neck, the president has worked tirelessly to drain the swamp with massive deregulation, phenomenal judges, and a tax cut for working families. Markets are up, wages are up, unemployment is way down across all key demographic groups. And on foreign policy, he has likewise been remarkably consistent on his pledge to put America first. He said he was going to do this, and he's doing it. He's winding down foreign entanglements, long-term military interventions that I seem to recall Democrats used to be against.
They've been warring for many years. It's unnatural for us, but it's sort of natural for them. They fight, and they fight long, and they fight hard. And they've been fighting Syria for a long time, and on the border, that's the border with Syria. And I say, why are we protecting Syria's land? Assad's not a friend of ours. Why are we protecting their land?
Now, remember when Democrats embrace this anti-interventionist approach?
This war diminishes our security, our standing in the world, our military, our economy, and the resources that we need to confront the challenges of the 21st century. By any measure, our single-minded and open-ended focus on Iraq is not a sound strategy for keeping America safe.
But now that's all apparently just totally out the window. Last night, Tulsi Gabbard was the only person on that Democrat debate stage who on this issue really channeled Obama.
You would continue this policy of the U.S. actually providing arms and support to terrorist groups in Syria because they are the ones who have been the ground force in this regime change war.
No, you can embrace, or you can put an end to endless war without embracing Donald Trump's policy.
Will you end the regime change war is the question.
What we are doing.
What is an endless war if it's not yet another regime change war?
Please allow him to respond.
What we are doing, or what we were doing in Syria, was keeping our word.
Oh, nice try, Pete. Well, by the end of the evening, it was obvious that the Democrats will say and do, at this point, almost anything, including contort their own views on key issues just to oppose Trump. Now, I don't recall any of them voicing any great concern for what might happen to the Kurds back in 2012. When Obama drew his red line and didn't enforce it, the Kurds were still implicated there, remember? Well, but maybe it was because they started seeing polls on invading Syria. And what were they like back then? Well, consider what Gallup found. 68% to 24% of Americans oppose military action, quote, to attempt to end the conflict, even if all economic and diplomatic efforts failed to end the civil war in Syria. So have Americans today really become newly pro-interventionist? I don't think so. But the Democrats, maybe they have, all because that keeps them in opposition to Trump. The AOC plus 3 party essentially believes that the American way of life, in many ways, has become evil and unsustainable. The candidates think Trump's a menace and he's got to go. But other than that, their policy prescriptions are kind of a mishmash. Biden thinks that if he wins, things will just magically go back to Obama, that whole era when Democrats were partying at the White House with Stevie Wonder and Tom Hanks. As for Warren and Sanders, they want to adopt a European-style socialist approach, which, last time I checked, isn't working anywhere in the world now. Klobuchar, Buttigieg, well, they're trying to hold themselves out, I guess, as more moderate, more reasonable Democrats, but neither of them can get out of single digits in the polls. And Beto, he's basically a less interesting and less intelligent AOC. Castro, he's a radical open borders nightmare. Booker thinks Democrats should just be nicer to each other. That's realistic. Well, they're all either running to be vice president or they're running because they don't have anything better to do. I don't know. But CNN did try its best to help them all by staying away from certain topics altogether last night. For instance, there were zero questions or discussion about the most important threat to American long-term security. Talking about that small, innocuous country called China, mentioned a few times, but it's all in passing. So we're supposed to take this crowd seriously? Now, remember, voters are supposed to believe Elizabeth Warren is the new, smart, and savvy frontrunner.
Mayor Buttigieg, you say Senator Warren has been, quote, evasive about how she's going to pay for Medicare for all.
Well, we heard it tonight. A yes or no question that didn't get a yes or no answer. Your signature, Senator, is to have a plan for everything, except this.
So let's be clear. Whenever someone hears the term Medicare for all who want it, understand what that really means. It's Medicare for all who can afford it.
I don't understand why you believe the only way to deliver affordable coverage to everybody is to obliterate private plans.
Well, wait a second. She's going to out-negotiate President Xi when she can't handle the mayor of South Bend? I don't think so. Now, what we've learned from these debates, I think, generally is the following. The agendaless Democrats have no China policy other than complaining about Trump's tariffs, no coherent trade policy except we'll work with the Europeans more. Okay, like Obama didn't already try that and fail. They have no coherent health care policy, and some want to abolish health insurance, as you saw, altogether, wildly unpopular. Others want a hybrid of sorts, but it's still a jumble. They have no plan to raise your standard of living that I can see. They've actually kind of just given up even trying to argue that point. But their answer for everything is to tax it. If it moves, tax it. If it doesn't, tax it.
I do think it is appropriate to acknowledge that taxes will go up.
For people making between $50,000 and $75,000 a year, their taxes are going to go up about $5,000.
We should look at what Germany, France, Denmark, and Sweden still have, which is a value-added tax.
Billionaires are making their money off their accumulated wealth. We need a wealth tax.
Sometimes I think that Senator Warren is more focused on being punitive.
Now, you know it's bad when even Beto was saying there, whoa, this is a little too much with the taxes. Now, even with the advanced age of the three top candidates, at times it felt like last night you were watching a bunch of 19-year-old dilettantes sitting around their dorm common area, shooting the bull about stuff they had just read the night before. So cutting edge.
That means that our whole solar system could be like one tiny atom in the fingernail of some other giant being. Oh, this is too much.
If it were only that interesting. Now, on issue after issue, Donald Trump has literally turned the Democrats into human pretzels. They're all tied up in knots. They're defining themselves, and there are a lot of other people out there who are doing the same thing, but let's focus on the Democrats. They're defining themselves only through their opposition to Trump. Now, they used to be skeptical of spy agencies and government surveillance, but they now embrace the deep state's powers. They used to be for better trade deals to help blue-collar workers, but they won't support the USMCA. They used to be for getting out of endless wars, as I said, but now they want back in. There is no consistency whatsoever, except on, you know, as many, again, abortion or those things, I guess. Obama actually was a smart person. I didn't agree with him a lot, but really smart, incredibly talented politician. Elizabeth Warren? What am I missing? She cannot hold a candle to Obama. None of the Democrats that I can see on that stage can. The Democrats hate Trump, but have a whole lot of nothing to replace him. And I think smart people in the party know it. Look at the new Moody's study out today. Their calculations show a 2020 map that looks like this. And when you step back and you looked at that field last night on that Democrat debate stage, you can see why so many Democrats think impeachment, even if it takes secret hearings, is their only answer. And that's The Angle.